Yesterday, you wrote a title for your article on bullying. Today, you will write an introduction. In the introduction, we're going to set up all the information for the reader. We'll get them involved in our thinking and make sure that they want to read to continue learning more information about this important social issue. Stick around for this lesson to understand the important things that your article should include, your introduction should include, and some tips on how to begin. Your introduction should include a hook or a lead that grabs the reader's attention. You may begin with a question, a thought, or a fact. Remember your opinion essays? We started those in the same way. It's important not to begin right away with a definition because that can really bog the reader down. We want to make sure that we invite them to join us first and we get their attention first. Later in your introduction, once you've grabbed their attention, you will define the different types of bullying and show briefly how they affect a child. Remember the questions that you answered in your assignment where you chose two types of bullying, you compared and contrasted them, and then you ranked them and talked about which one was harder to stop or which one was worse, or if they were the same in your opinion. I want you to go back to that exercise and you're going to mine that for information you can use in your introduction. So go ahead, pause the video, and open up that document right now. All right, now we're ready to get started by writing the hook or lead to your introductory article. You might decide to start with a question or a fact. Your question could begin with, "Did you know that?" or "Can you imagine?" This is a particular time in which you're going to be addressing the reader directly. You won't address the reader directly in most of your article, but as you're grabbing their attention, you're allowed to do this. You might decide to start with a fact. Make sure that you check with me before you add in a fact, just to make sure you're getting it from a proper source. The sources could be the many books that we've read about bullying so far, the articles we looked at about bullying, or the bullying information sheet I've given you access to. That might start with something like, over 50% of kids, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Just make sure that it's true and that it grabs the reader's attention. Next, you might decide to start out with a thought. When you start out with a thought, you're inviting the reader to reflect with you. You're inviting the reader to imagine a world that's different from the world we live in and kind of compare it to the situation today. You might start with, imagine a life, or imagine you are, close your eyes and think for a minute, or if only. Use one of these sentence starters to get the reader in the headspace so that they're ready to understand the power of the social issue of bullying, right? Imagine a childhood without bullying. Imagine children who always show respect, whether they like each other or not. That might be hard to imagine, given the prevalence of bullying in today's culture. Something like that, that gets the reader thinking. Now, it's your turn to start writing your introduction. You have a template article, a template document in your assignment today. Please be sure that you write your introduction there. You should write at least 4 sentences, with the first sentence being a hook that begins with one of these sentence starters. You might ask a question, share a fact, or invite the readers to reflect with a thought. After that, you will define the different types of bullying and teach how it affects a child. Those details will set us up to go through the next paragraphs in our story when we start writing them next week. All right, it's your turn to write an introduction. Don't forget, you have your bullying books and articles to reference as you do this assignment.